Hello and welcome to the second episode of Lockdown Learning here on Miso Maths. This episode we're going to look at depreciation. Now this lesson follows on from lesson 1 where we were looking at compound interest. So in order to access this particular lesson on depreciation, there's several things that you should already be able to do. So you should have watched the last video. You should be able to calculate compound interest. You should be able to understand percentage decrease, and you'd be able to use a multiplier to calculate a percentage decrease, and you need to be able to understand the idea that assets lose value over time. So assets are things that companies or individuals buy, like cars or vans, and they go down in value over time, and that's essentially what depreciation is. So same as last time, all you're going to need to join in with this session is a pen or a pencil, some paper, and preferably a scientific calculator, but I will show you how to do the calculations without a scientific calculator. The video is in the same format as video 1, so there's a knowledge checker to start with, there's a couple of examples, there's some questions for you to try, and then there is an extension activity at the end to explore how else you might have to use this type of maths in an exam situation. So let's get started. 5 questions, set the timer to 4 minutes, off you go. Okay, that's your 4 minutes up. So let's have a look and see how you got on. So question 1. The method I've used here is first of all to work out 10%. So I've done 300 divided by 10, which is 30. And the question says reduce it by 10%. So you subtract the 30 from the 300, giving you an answer of 270. Obviously, if you've used a multiplier to do this question, that's perfectly all right as well, as long as you've got the same answer. Question 2, what is the multiplier when you're decreasing an amount by 27%? So if we start with 100% as our original amount and you subtract 27% from that, you end up with 73%, and then you divide that by 100 to convert it to the multiplier. So the answer in this case is 0.73. Question 3, same idea. Subtract the 2 from 100, convert the 98% to a decimal by dividing by 100, and 0.98 is the answer. Question 4 and 5. So decrease 450 by 24%. The multiplier is 0.76, giving you an answer of 342. Question 5, a little bit trickier, but if you do the 100%, take away 3.5%, you end up with 96.5%. Again, divide by 100 to turn it into a multiplier, and you get the calculation shown in the answer, 7,334. Okay, let's start looking at the main part of the lesson then. Let's look at depreciation. So it's a term used to describe an asset, such as a van or office equipment, losing value over time. Any item that's been bought into a business can depreciate over time, and depreciation is kind of a tool that accountants would use to establish the value of assets held by a company. In the examples we look at here, we're going to assume that each asset depreciates at the same rate for the duration of the ownership, which in reality isn't necessarily always going to be the case. Some items might depreciate quickly at first and then slow down over time. Must be worth adding here that some items, such as classic cars, can go up in value over time, and this is called appreciation, and it's calculated the same way you would calculate compound interest from the last video. Okay, so our first example, if you want to take this down in your notes, you can do. So we're going to look at Rachel buys a car for £8,000 and it's going to depreciate at a rate of 5% per annum. How much is it going to be worth in 5 years? So if we do this example year by year, after the first year, the value's going to decrease by 5%. So you would use 0.95 as the multiplier, and at the end of 1 year you see the car's worth £7,600. So if you repeat that calculation in the second year, remembering that this time the car was only worth £7,600 at the start of the year, again the multiplier is the same because we're assuming it's a 5% rate of depreciation across the term of the ownership, and that gives you a value at the end of the second year of £7,220. So if we step through the year 3, year 4 and year 5 calculation, so same thing each time, remembering to change your initial starting amount, you see that after 5 years the value of the vehicle is £6,190.2475, which I've rounded to 2 decimal places, as I explained in the previous video. Makes sense to do when you're dealing with money. Okay. The other thing you can do once you've got this answer, if you subtract that from the original amount, so the £8,000 the car cost, you can see how much value the car has lost over the 5-year period, and that would be that £1,809.75. You may be asked for that. You just need to carefully check the wording of whatever question you're answering. Now, let's look a little bit more detail at what we did there. Essentially, we multiplied by 0.95 5 times. If you type that into your calculator like that, it would give you the same answer as if we did it step by step like we did previously. And then, as with compound interest, we can write that in a much more compact way, which is the way we're going to be using from now on, by using the power of 5 button. And again, getting the same answer, but much more quickly. If you are doing these calculations on your phone or a non-scientific calculator, you will probably have to stick with that top method. If you do have access to a scientific calculator, you should be using the method detailed at the bottom of the screen. Okay, same button as before from the last lesson, in the same place. The only thing that really changes is the multiplier starts with a 0 this time instead of a 1 like it did previously. So that's how to use the button. That's where you can find it. Same as with compound interest. Right, example 2. Emily buys a laptop for £2,000. She thinks it will depreciate at 8% per annum. How much will it be worth after 3 years? So first thing to do, figure out what your multiplier is going to be. So you take the 8% off 100, leaves you with 92, so a multiplier is 0.92. Now you can type the calculation into your calculator. 2,000 multiplied by 0.92 to the power of 3, because it was after 3 years we wanted to know the value. Again, gives you an answer to 3 decimal places, which we're going to round for reasons we've already explained, giving you a final answer of £1,557.38. Okay, here's 3 questions for you to have a go at yourself. I suggest you pause the video now, have a go at the questions, and then we will go through them when you are ready to unpause the video. Okay, let's see how you got on with these questions. So, question 1. John bought a van for £5,000, depreciating at 12% annually for 4 years. How much is it worth after 4 years? So the multiplier is 0.88 to the power of 4, giving you an answer of £2,998.48. Question 2. Fred buys a TV for $6,000. His TV depreciates at 5.5% per annum. How much of the original value has he lost after 3 years? So slightly different wording to the question. Same process. Find your multiplier, which is 0.945 to the power of 3 this time because it's over 3 years. That tells you that after 3 years, the television's worth $5,063.45. So subtract that from the original amount to find out how much value the television's lost, and you get an answer of $936.55. And finally, question 3. Sarah has bought a photocopier for the office. It cost £5,250, so that's the original initial cost. If it depreciates at a rate of 13.4% per annum, how long will it take to halve in value? So this is similar to the third question with compound interest. You start by typing in your initial amount. Your multiplier is 0.866, and then you have to just keep on changing the power until you get a value that is less than half of the original amount. In this case, that particular value happens to be 5, so that means it takes 5 years to halve in value. Okay, there are other ways you might have to use this piece of maths. We've looked at a couple of them already, but this is probably the hardest thing you might be asked to do with this type of question. So, a lorry costing £15,000 is worth £8,981.05 after 10 years. At what rate has it depreciated over this time? Now, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to have a think about it. You might, using trial and improvement, be able to figure out the answer to this, but there is a correct mathematical method to demonstrate how you can work out the rate of depreciation, which I'll go through once the time is up. So have a go at this now, see how you get on. Okay, let's see how you got on with that, whether you managed to solve it using trial and improvement or whether you used what would be the recognised mathematical method. So let's look at what information we've got. We know the starting price of the vehicle was £15,000. We would multiply that by a multiplier, which we're trying to figure out. We don't know that, but we do know it was over a 10-year period. So we've used X to stand for the multiplier, and we do know the power is 10. And we know the final value of the vehicle is £8,981.05. So we can tidy up this equation a little bit. If we divide both sides by 15,000, that gives us x to the power of 10 equals 0.598736 recurring. Now, to get rid of that power of 10, you'll need to use a slightly different button on your calculator, and we'll need to do the 10th root of that number. So to access this button, you'll need to press Shift, which is on the top left on the Casio calculator anyway, and then press the button that we've been using for the majority of this lesson for doing powers. That will allow you to put in the 10 in front of the tick part of the square root symbol. So now we can do x equals the 10th root of 0.598736 recurring, and that gives us a value of x as 0.949 recurring, which to two decimal places is 0.95. Now we're not finished. 0.95 is the multiplier, but the question was asking what was the percentage rate of depreciation. So if the multiplier is 0.95, that means that the rate of depreciation must be 5%. And that is it for this second episode of Lockdown Learning. Remember to keep checking back for future lessons. I'll upload them as often as I can. Thank you for listening. Stay safe, stay at home,